Welcome to another Legacy Center episode of the No Limits Life podcast, where leadership, impact, and purpose-driven service take the spotlight. Today, we're honoring the kind of leadership that doesn't just shape skylines, it shapes lives, communities, and futures. Legacy isn't built in buildings, it's built in service, sacrifice, and impact. Our guest today is the true embodiment of that quote, a powerhouse in commercial real estate and civic leadership. He's devoted more than 4 decades to elevating Tucson's growth, not just in infrastructure, but in heart and humanity. He's a co-founder of the Arizona Bowl, a former leader with Rio Nuevo, and a passionate advocate for military service members, youth development, education, and community revitalization. Join me in welcoming a man whose legacy lives in every life he's touched, Mark Irvin.
Thanks for having me on.
Your legacy is layered, profound, and deeply rooted in service. As we begin, I'd love to hear how today's quote, "Legacy isn't built in buildings, it's built in service, sacrifice, and impact," how it resonates with the way you lead, give, and serve.
You know, I just think it really kind of falls also kind of along what I think Rotary stands for, service above self. And I've been a Rotarian for 30 years, and I just, can't imagine us not finding a way to reach out and help. I mean, it's just kind of in your it's either in your DNA or it's not. But you know what's cool? You can learn it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know that famous quote that says, "When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking? Am I at service of humanity, or am I at the service of myself?"
Kind of comes naturally. Either you've decided that you want to make an impact and you decide you're going to, and then you surround yourself with people that follow that. Or, it's just, you just kind of wake up and you kind of say, hey, today I can make a difference or I can not make a difference. And I think I just kind of decide that I'm much happier being busy and trying to make a difference. I just think it helps you kind of define your life. I remember Ernest, as a young man, I was really confused, and I remember asking my grandmother one day, I said, "Hey, Mang, I need like some advice, not like some advice, but I need like the best advice you can give me." And she said, "Marcus, go home and write your obituary and then go live it."
That's a great
and I sat there and I thought about that for a second. And I said, "What in the heck did she just say?" And what I was in high school. I was like, "Man, that's pretty deep. What does that even mean?" And I just had to stop and think about it. And the next day I remember talking to her and I said, I got it. Thank you.
You remind me of Sugar Ray Leonard, who I worked with, and said to me one day, "What do you want people to say at your obituary? What legacy do you want to leave?" Think about that every single evening before you go to bed.
It's a good one to think about.
And thinking about our own death and obituary sounds gloomy, but it's profound.
It's really, I think it kind of clarifies things, again, what do you want people to say about you when you're not here? Go home and write your obituary and then go live it. And I would tell you, I'd love to tell you that was like, oh, I got it just instantly. It took me about a day for it to really sink in what she was really trying to say.
What do you want people to say about you when you're gone?
I've known you for a while now, and I know that you're probably one of the most giving people that I know. You're involved in all kinds of nonprofits. But how did the whole military thing happen with you and with Davis-Monthan Air Force Base? Because you've kind of pioneered something that after I had just been able to talk to the commander out there, that it doesn't even happen anywhere in the country, what happens right here in Tucson. So how did all that happen?
Well, for me, I think just the whole thing with military, I was raised an Army brat, so I think that stuff was sort of instilled in me as a young kid. But I think what was a big turning point for me, candidly, Ken, was when I was in high school. And, I graduated in 1973. And 1973 is when they abolished the, draft. And although they stopped drafting people about 18 months before that, I was in line, and I would have gone. And I had discovered women when I was in high school, and I didn't really give a dang about grades. And as you recall back then, they would take you first if you were not a good student. So I was first in the freaking line, I'll tell you. And so I was really happy when I didn't get drafted, and they settled differences, and off we moved. But I think what I remember most about all that was not that. I remember people coming back that were drafted and the way they were treated. And I said to myself, I can make a difference. I think I will. I think DM involvement was kind of a strange one. I was having dinner one evening with a good friend of mine who's a former commander out at DM, retired.
Davis-Monthan, right?
Yeah, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And I just said, hey, what do you guys do for the holidays? Do you have any traditions, any family things, any company stuff? And he said, hey, we adopt an airman at the base. I said, what does that look like? And so he said, here's what we do and here's how we do it. And I said, I want to do that. So we got our group together and went out and had a discussion with the base, and it took a while, but that was kind of the start of us getting involved at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base.
That's a special deal.
Yeah,
I got to do that because of you.
Yeah, very special
seeing what
deal.
Those families, I mean, you can't help but get emotional watching those families.
We just go out and wear a Secret Santa and try to go out and make 15 families' lives great every year. So it's just a lot of fun, really under the radar screen. We try not to tout it too much because we don't want to draw attention to the program, which would then draw attention to the very families we're trying to help who are struggling during the holiday season. So I think that kind of started, and then I was asked to, help kind of re-kick off their Honorary Commander program, and my 2-year stint ended early after 7 years. Oh my God, that was a lot. Seriously, that was just a lot of fun. Had a great time, learned a lot. Didn't really know much about the Air Force, but learned a lot.
Well, you've sucked into a lot of people into helping you do that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are involved with bringing that special time at Christmas time to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base?
Well, so all the first sergeants are there, so there's over 40 of them. And we've got top brass at the base. So there's
But what about the citizens?
Oh well, there's
non-military.
There's 50 plus.
That's huge.
That go, and
that's because of you.
Well, it's just because I think people love the military and want to be impactful, and that's. When you show up at somebody's door and they're not expecting you, they just know that they're doing morale calls on the base, and you show up, and all they know is that, we're showing up, and, we're going to have your first sergeant there and maybe somebody in command at the base. Oh, by the way, we're bringing a couple of friends that love the base, and all of a sudden you open your door and there's 60, 70 people outside your door. I always love saying, hey, we're here, what's for breakfast? And that usually kind of breaks the ice. But no, it's a very special, I think, morning for what we do. And then, we have two groups. Desert Thunder Squadron is one of them, and Winers and Diners is the other one, that are closely aligned and doing stuff at the base, and both are 501c3s. So, we just try to sit down with the base and try to figure out what do they need help with, and then try to go be impactful. Don't make any, really decision of what we can do without having a discussion with them on what do you guys need help with.
And that's my next question. Tell us about the Desert Thunder Squadron. Inspiring new initiative, 1 year away. Why is this mission so important, and what impact do you envision it having?
Yeah, first, thanks for that question. I think it's probably one of the most impactful things we do as a community in a long time. So, there's 600 to 800 people that step down at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base every year. That's typically an audience, for the most part, that is people that have entered military service. They've entered the Air Force right out of high school. So these are people that 20 years later, mandatory step down, have got 20 years worth of military service, and they're 38 to 40 years old. They've got a nice pension. They're ready to go and enter the civilian workforce. And the Air Force is amazing. They've got great programs to help you get in. They've got great programs while you're there. And they've got amazing programs to help you step down. What they don't have is a program that connects you as somebody stepping down with the community. Mm-hmm. And so after spending a lot of time looking and talking and working on this for 7 or 8 years, we finally partnered at Desert Thunder Squadron with a really cool group called Edge for Vets. Edge and just the number 4 vets. Google them online, you'll be amazed. Look at some of the little testimonials and videos that have done. Basically what they help folks do, and we'll be doing this on May 5th in a program we're rolling out called 1 Year Away, is it helps an airman sit down and surrounded by folks in HR and other community leaders, and helps him move from military speak to civilian speak, to translate those skills and things that they've developed during their time in the military into a resume and other things that's helped and designed by HR people, that's designed to showcase your talents and how they might be applicable in the civilian sector in a manner that folks would pay for. People would say, hey, I'd love to hire freaking Ken. He's just done X, Y, and Z and Y, So, it's really a program that's designed.
What's the success rate?
So we're just rolling the program out this year, but it's a program with Edge for Vets that's been around for quite some time. They've had over 3,000 people go through their program. The program is not designed to get you a job, although that is an outcome of the program. The program is designed to help you think through what is that next career for you. And so this is, I think, a really neat program. The neat thing about the program is it's a program that's designed that when you're done with the program, you are assigned a mentor, somebody in the community who is going to be there for you. You're going to an interview, you need some help, you need some connectivity with this, that, and the other. I mean, it's interesting. All the things that we take for granted that we wouldn't think twice about and how enamored we are with our Air Force, they have the same exact views of us. You know, they just kind of look at us and trying to figure out how do we do what we do. It's not a requirement to go through the program that you decide to stay in Tucson. Mm-hmm. In fact, if we care about airmen, we shouldn't put any such restrictions on that. If somebody goes through our program and in the process they learn some skills and create some opportunities that help them when they do go back to wherever they want to go, that they can be even more successful there, we've kind of done our mission. However, during the process, you know, they're going to mix and mingle and learn a lot about Tucson that they might not have otherwise gone and learned about. But the other thing that's kind of cool is the command chief at Davis-Monthan is going to be in our inaugural class. He's stepping down this year. He's decided to stay in Tucson, which is really cool. But he's decided that he wants to go through this program and be in that inaugural class and help us really build it into something that's going to be pretty,
that's cool.
You know, pretty impactful.
How smooth is the transition for most people who go under the program?
Again, another great question. We've got a couple of guys that are involved with us that are just people that were stepping down from service that we met early on and just, you know, fell in love with and did everything we could to kind of help. And to talk to them about what was helpful to them has been pretty impactful on what we're doing. We've kind of heard from people two things that are really important. They'd like to have connectivity in our community, and they'd love to have somebody that they could reach out to as a mentor. And I think that's probably two things that have been really high on our list. The inaugural class, we're going to restrict the mentors to folks that are Desert Thunder Squadron members or their affiliate buddies over at Winers and Diners, because we want to have people that really understand that mindset. And a lot of those people will be people that have already stepped down from active service themselves that are members of one of those two groups. Those will be our inaugural class that will help us, you know, kick things off, help us debrief, help us work with other mentors and what have you. And our goal is not to have you meet somebody that, you know, is there with you for a little bit, but hopefully you both end up with lifetime friends, like I've created and others have created in our group.
Yeah.
I tell you what's really cool about it. I mean, when we rolled the program out and started talking to it, Banner Hospital said, hey, can we take the lead on reaching out to all the other hospitals? We said, sure, but let's get the program kicked off with you, and then we'll bring them in later. Jan Lesher at Pima County said the exact same thing. Hey, can I connect with all the other municipalities? I love this program. And we said the same thing at Jan. Jan, yes, but can we tap the brake pedals until we get, you know, the first, you know, program up and running, which will be on Cinco de Mayo. So, no, I think we've had some really good engagement. The folks with Edge for Vets have a contract with ACI, which is basically all the airports across the country. As you can imagine, Air Force folks especially probably have a desire to stay somewhat involved in things relating to aviation. So a lot of those opportunities obviously involved at the airports and whatnot.
Would you say that people who are entering the program enter the program with a mindset and the spirit of succeeding and getting to go from military to civilian? What is their mindset when they enter the program?
So you have to imagine a lot of these people have never sat down and had to do a resume. A lot of these folks have never had to sell themselves. Mm-hmm. What they've sold is a team. You know, they've sold, here's what we've done as Air Force. They've never had to stand out themselves and be able to distinguish themselves. What sets me apart from you? You know, why should you hire me versus that doggone Ken dude? Right? So I think, you know, it's hard for them. It's not something that they're programmed. They've just spent 20 years, you know, doing the exact opposite of that. So now all of a sudden you've got to help them make that mindset shift and actually be able to move from military speak to civilian speak. A lot of them sit there and say, I don't understand why any of the things that I do would be of benefit to anybody in the civilian sector. And after you sit down and talk with them about the things they've been doing and the leaderships and the other qualities they've developed, it doesn't take long to say, well, I want to hire that. I mean, our friend Paul Diaz that owns McDonald's, Paul called me one day and said, oh, my God, I'm in love with you. Thank you for getting me involved in DM. I just hired this most amazing guy that's running all of he owns like almost 30 McDonald's, and this guy's running all of his facilities at McDonald's. And, I think having them around, I don't want to overuse our pal Humberto's name, but, Humberto had invited, and I took all 42 of the first sergeants at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base to the Center of Opportunity. Mm-hmm. And Bert led a personal tour. We had breakfast. We had a number of people come and speak, including Senator Sinema at the time. And we just had a great chance, and it was so amazing walking around, and people are just so in awe where we've got all these folks from the Air Force that came by in uniform, and like all morning people kept coming up going, "Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here." Mm-hmm. So, I think they appreciate that. But to sit down with you and apply for a job and try to sell you on what their skill set is and how they didn't. It's a foreign concept for them. Yeah, I think it's going to be a very impactful program. I think it's going to be one that we're hopeful that other communities will look at and say, hey, you know what, we're at Luke Air Force Base. Why don't we have a program like this? Hey, we're at Elmendorf. Why don't, et cetera, et cetera. So there's I think a number of those initiatives that we're excited about being involved in, and I think our recent, this past weekend, going to the air show did nothing but reinforce that thought process.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take you away from Davis-Monthan for a minute, because I want to know about this whole Busker Festival thing. I don't even know what Busker is. What is all about? What is it about? Why are you doing it? Is this the first year?
No, we haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
So 27 years ago on a trip to New Zealand, I was in Christchurch, and I was walking down the street and downtown, and I see this really cool statue, and I go over and look at it, and next thing I know, it starts talking to me, like, what are you looking at? And by the way, it continued like that that entire day. Act after act after act that I saw all throughout their downtown business, on and off their trolley system. It was really cool. It's just like really fun.
New Zealand is incredible.
And I've been there now. Bakersfield, I've been there 13 times. And I was just there again in about a month or so ago. And when I was there, I had a chance, again, happenstance, serendipity, ran across the Buskers Festival. And so I had tickets to the opening act, which was Tape Face. If you've never seen Tape Face, go Google Tape Face. If you want to laugh at somebody that will entertain you and never say a word, Tape Mouth or Tape Face. And then we were off fishing and whatever, and ended up back there for the grand finale. Theirs is a 10 or 11-day festival, and saw the grand finale where all the acts that were still there you could see. So anyway, they would put up a list, and if you want to go see Ken, the baton twirler, you go over here. You want to see Nordine, the guy that rides a unicycle and twirls, you do this. So anyway, it's just really cool. You just bounce around downtown, off the streetcar and off their trolley system, see all this stuff. And then at night, they book people into various venues, and you can go see performances and have dinner and shows and whatever. And all the performances we went to were totally sold out. I mean, like venue twice size of the Fox, totally sold out. Anyway, it was really, really cool. But that first year I was there, I was having dinner, and I asked the waiter, what is up with this freaking buskers thing? And they said, well, that's, he tried to explain it to me. He says, well, that table over there, that's Jody. She's the founder of the Buskers Fest. And I said, get out of here. She said, no. I said, looks to me like their bottle of wine's empty. Let's send them a bottle. And as you can imagine what happened, when they finished their dinner, she's over having a nice time with me, visiting, and spent an hour with me, and I'm like peppering her. What's the Buskers? How does it start? Why'd you start it? How do you get these acts? How do they get them here? How do I apply? How do you run it? Does it benefit? I mean, I was just like driving her crazy. And so I've had it in my mind for 27 years.
So this hasn't been done in Tucson
Never
yet?
been done in Tucson. Never really not done in the U.S.
And it's in Christchurch, right?
It's done in Christchurch. And so the World Buskers Festival is in Christchurch. I've had a chance to go to 3 of them. After the last one, I just couldn't take it anymore. They're under Jody's hired a new manager, a new director. So I just reached out to them and said, hey, have you ever thought? And long story short, I'll have them in town next week, and we're going to spend a week with them and show them Tucson and why we think this would work as a place that you could do a Buskers Festival.
So you don't have a date for this yet?
Oh, yeah, I get a date.
Oh, okay.
April 1st, 2027.
Oh. So
although I have my buddy Fletcher, who I've brought into the fold on this, who really wants to know why we can't do this in 2026.
You're Buddy Fletcher from here, right?
McCusker.
Not from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fletcher McCusker, Rio Nuevo's chairman.
Yes.
But anyway, no. So Fletcher doesn't understand that it doesn't happen that quickly. Ken, you put these things on, you get it.
Yep.
But we've got to pick a date, and I like April Fools. I think that's just
perfect.
I think it's a fun date to kick something off.
For this.
We've looked at all the other dates.
April 1st.
Yeah. So
2/27.
So imagine you're on the streetcar. And
which we have them here.
And by the way, this thing's infinity. There's not a start and a stop for the streetcar. Jump on where you want to. Don't talk to me about parking. Jump on the streetcar where you can get on it. And by the way, it's free, so don't complain to me about stuff. Jump on the streetcar. And by the way, you'll probably have a busker on there with you. It could be steel drum band.
On the streetcar.
Yeah, it could be a steel drum band. Could be a mariachi band.
Yeah.
It could be a jazz band. You could get off it could be a busker doing some like card trick or some entertainment act or something. It could be a whole multitude of things.
That is going to be
and
very fun.
It'll go on all week long. I'm envisioning a 5 to 7 day festival, and we'll book people into stuff at night. I will tell you, we'll be making heavy rounds next week talking to people. It's not been here.
And that's all downtown?
It'll be downtown centric, but it'll be accessible to anything on and off the streetcar. So as you can appreciate, I've already had discussions with Banner. I said on Banner's Business Advisory Board. I'd love to see some buskers going through the hospital seeing sick kids.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Cool. Obviously, it encompasses University, it encompasses Main Gate Square, it encompasses University, it encompasses 4th Avenue. Mm-hmm. It encompasses the entire downtown. And let's go ahead and hop over to the west side, which, by the way, the MSA Annex was created when I was at Rio Nuevo, and to me it made a lot of sense because that's what Christchurch did to get their downtown up and operating.
How many days is theirs?
In 2000, theirs is 11 days, 10 or 11 days, yeah. And it is amazing. It is
incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mark, your story is a testament to servant leadership, quiet strength, visionary as you are. I want to thank you for being on the show and sharing all of this incredible stuff that you guys are doing.
Thanks for having me. And I love shows like this. I think they're getting the word out on opportunities to get involved in the community. And I'll tell you, if somebody has an interest in getting involved at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, they have an Honorary Commander program that you can apply for. And then once you finish being Honorary Commander, then you can join Desert Thunder Squadron. But you got to spend 2 years. You got to spend 2 years as an Honorary Commander. And DTS was started because Nordine, you've just spent 2 years and you didn't know a dang thing about the Air Force, and they've just gotten you educated. So now after 2 years, what are you going to do? You're going to fade off the sunset? Well, you may want to, but maybe you don't. And if you don't, here's Desert Thunder Squadron, a group that's now. We just took 1,000 airman families to Reed Park for breakfast at the Pike Corps Pancake Breakfast. One of my biggest competitors took them to their pancake breakfast. Then we took them over to Reed Park Zoo, and they all went through the zoo for the day.
Oh, that's nice.
And then TJ at El Tour gave us 150 bicycles that we put in a raffle, and we decided not to give them away. Let's give bikes to all the kids.
That's great.
And then, by the way, you'll love this. I thought we were going to pull the bicycles together. No. Half the families don't put my bike together. It's going to be a family project that we're going to do.
Oh, wow.
So, it's just a different thought process mindset that I will tell you we've learned a lot from. With the bikes that we put together at the community center at DM, what was really interesting about that, they have a biking club. And all those, 50 riders came over and double-checked all the bikes they put together to make sure they were put together correctly. And by the way, the good thing they did, I'm told. So anyway, it's just a lot of fun.
Nice.
A lot of fun.
Amazing stuff, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Sharing.
And to our incredible listeners, if this episode inspired you to reflect on your own legacy, share it forward. Like, subscribe, and send it to someone who's ready to live beyond limits. Keep serving boldly, giving generously, and living your own no limits life.